and welcome again to Ninson's Maths Solutions. So in this video, we'll be looking at the second part of our A-level pure paper, the AS pure paper 2022, paper 1. And this is the second part of that video. If you haven't watched the first part, I will highly recommend that you do so. As always, remember you can pause the video and have a go at the questions, then watch. Or you can actually get the questions, have a go at them and see if your solutions will agree with my solutions. Okay, so we are going to look at the first question in this video. This is the question 4. I'll try and make it bigger and all of that to let you see. So we've got this triangle with all the dimensions. So this is figure 1 and the question says to show that. So what we are trying to do here is to make sure we end up using our understanding to get this very equation here, 17x squared and then minus 35x minus 48 equal to 0. So I'll be going very fast and then we are asked to find the value of x. This is worth 3 marks. So let's quickly dive in. So immediately here we can see that we have this angle here, which is 60, matching this side, which is 3x plus 10, and then x plus 2 and 7x. So ideally, the best form of equation is the cosine rule. So we'll write a cosine rule, and then we'll try and go through from there. So AI, remember to always label your questions. So from the cosine rule, we know a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So A and B and C are important. What that means that we need to label the triangle. Fortunately for us, they've labeled it correctly. So the angle A is 60. The side facing our angle A is small a. B we've been given as well, so we might as well keep it. So that's B there, and then this side should be C because it's facing this angle C. So we're just filling the bits we know. So A is 3x add 10, so 3x add 10 squared equals b squared, so 7x squared add c squared, which is x add 2 squared, all right, minus 2 lots of bc, so 2 lots of my b, which is 7x, and then my c, which is x add 2, and then we need to multiply everything by cos, so we don't need this comment bit. We multiplied it by cos of a, which is 60 in this case. All right, so we're just going to try and simplify this and hopefully we can rearrange to get what we want. So when we expand this bracket, so we're going to expand the bracket here, and this gives me 9x squared add 60x add 100. Okay, when you expand that part, that's what you get. Okay, and then this will give us 49x squared, and then this bit gives us x squared add 4x add 4, and then here we can have our minus 2, and of course what we should also remember is that cos 60 is 1/2, so 2 lots of a half is just 1. So basically we've got minus 7x multiplying x at 2. So that would be a lot easier to see that way because the 2 and the cos 60 do cancel each other out. Okay, so we're gonna rewrite the question and simplify as much as possible. So we've got our 9x squared here, add our 60x, add 100, and we see the 49x squared and 1x squared will make 50x squared. And we've got my add 4x, add 4, and as we expand the bracket here, we get minus 7x squared and minus 14x. Okay, now what we've been asked to do is to make sure we've got 0 on one side. So we're going to try to rearrange the question so that we can have 0 on one side. So what we're going to do is we're going to move everything on this side to the other side, so we'll leave our 0 here. Okay, so I've got 50x squared, take away our 7x squared, which gives us 43x squared, but then we're going to take away 9. So 43 take away 9 is 34. So the x squares will have 34x squared. Okay, so that is done. All right, All the x squares are done. Now we want our x is 4x, take away 14x is minus 10x. And then we've got our 60x that we're going to take away from minus 10, which will be minus 70x. Okay, so we got that one as well. And then the last bit is the 100 and the 4. Okay, so we're going to have 4 take away 100, which is minus 96. Okay, now you notice that they want us to have 17x squared minus 35x minus 48 equals 0. And it looks as though we've not got it, but it is there. All we need to do is divide through by 2. Or if we divide every part by 2, we'll end up with our 17x squared minus 35x minus 48 equals 0. And this is what they want us to have. So they will be looking for you getting that part. All right, and that is AI. The second part of this A is worth 1 mark. So it says hence find the value. What that means is that you want only one answer for x, not 2 answers. And because this is only worth 1 mark, there's the suggestion that you can actually use your calculator. So you should have your Casio calculator, your A-level calculator, and just use the equation button to help you. So our II, all you need to do is go to your menu, and then you have to go down to see your equation, which is A. So you got your equation, so where you have simultaneous equation and polynomial, so you press 2, and then the degree is to the power of 2, so degree is 2, and you just sub in the values. So the coefficient of our x squared is 17, enter the equal sign. The coefficient of our x is minus 35, enter the equal sign, and then the c is minus 48. And as you do so, you'll get your answers. You get x being 3 or x being minus 16 over 17. But because this has to do with lengths of a triangle, the dimensions, it can never be negative, so we can say ignore. And this will be the only answer we'll be using, x equals 3. And that's why it's only 1 mark. You don't need to waste time using the quadratic formula here. Okay, and the next part of the question says, hence find the value of the angle here. Okay, so what we need to do is go back there, sub in our value for x, and have a go at sketching this triangle again. Okay, so we're going to sketch the triangle and put our value of x in it. So we've got A here, which was 60 degrees here, and then here we got 7x, x is 3, so that will be 21 centimeters. And then on this side we've got x at 2, so that's 3 at 2, which is 5 centimeters. And then on this side we have 3 lots of x, then at 10. 3 lots of 3 is 9, at 10 is 19, so we've got 19 here. And here is the angle we've been asked to look for. So we can actually use the sine rule to help us work out this angle, okay, because we can have a matching pair. So we can say that since we want an angle, sine of the angle we want over the side facing it is the same as the sine of 60 over the side facing it. Okay, now we want the angle. Remember to make sure your calculator goes back to normal by going to menu button and pressing 1. Okay, and then also make sure your calculator is in degrees. It's very important here. So the sine of the angle will be 5 times sine 60 over 19. Okay, so we are gonna try that on the calculator. So we got 5 times sine 60 over 19. Okay, and then of course that will give us sine of the angle being 5 root 3 over 38. It's okay to leave it like that. Then you want the angle, so shift sine. So shift sine and then press the ans bar on your calculator so you can appreciate the full answer. So you can see that the angle is 13.17355. And then we'll go and read the question to see how many significant figures we've been asked to, or decimal places. So it's very important to always check. We've been told to leave our answer to one decimal place. So we go back there, rewrite the answer, and see the angle there. So we see the angle is 13.2, and that's our answer. So that is done. Okay, and that is question 4 on the paper. Now we're going to question 5, which has the tendency to scare us. So it has a lots of words. No need to worry, just read it and make sure you put into context what each one means. So it says the mass 8 kilograms of algae in a small pond is modeled by the equation. We've been given the equation there. So A equals PQ to the power T, where P and Q are constants and T is the number of weeks after the mass of algae was first recorded. The data recorded indicates, so everything you're doing, no need to panic. The first question says that we've been given log A to be 0.03T at 0.5, and then we've been told to rewrite this so that it looks like A equals PQ to the power T. So there are many ways of doing this, and one of the ways is either, so this is to the base 10, okay, it's the same thing. It's either you go back to this and rewrite it to look like this, or you can use logarithms to make sure this part, which I'll be circling in blue, goes back to look like that, and then compare. So I'll be looking at moving from the logarithms to the question. Okay, so I'll start from the red box. All right, so from the red box, I could see that A is the same as 10 to the power of 0.03T plus 0.5. Okay, that's what A is. Now this B here, using indices, is the same as saying A is 10 to the power 0.03T, okay, and times by 10 to the power 0.5. Why? Because in indices, when we multiplying, we add the powers. So if I see powers being added, I can think of the reverse. What was the question that gave me that? Okay, now right from here, I can then rewrite the whole thing. So I've got A equals 10 to the power 0.03T times 10 to the power 0.5. Now this B here is the same as saying 10 to the power 0.03 with a T outside, and here 10 to the power 0.5, which is the same as square root of 10, which you can use a calculator to do. You can then write it as 3.162. So let's leave it to 4 decimal places for now, and then we'll check what the question says. So we've got A there. Now we can also sort that out by putting in the calculator. 10 to the power of 0.03. If you use a calculator, you should get it as 1.071. In fact, let me again try and leave it to 4 decimal places. 15, okay, to the power T, and we got times 3.1622. Now go back to the question and check what it wants me to leave my answer in. Okay, so it's always important. It says we should leave our answer to 4 significant figures. So I'm going to go back there and make sure I've got 4 significant figures. So A will be 1.07. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 2 there, to the power T times 3.162, and that will be the answer. So we can see from here that from what the question wants us, P is that number which is on its own, and Q is the bit with the power of T. So I can say my P is 3.162 and my Q is 1.072, and that will be our answer for the first part of the question. The second says, with reference to the model, interpret the value of the constant P. So P is this bit here. Okay, so this bit here is actually when there's no time. Okay, when t is equal to 0, you see that everything here will be 1 and the answer will be 3.162. So that would mean the initial mass of algae in the pond. Okay, so we can just look at that and see the initial mass of algae in the pond. Of course, it's only 1 mark, so it's BI, so we're gonna write it down. So BI P is the initial mass of algae in the pond. Okay, and then we want to look at the value of the constant Q. So if you look at what we had here, Q is always next to our T, if you like. Okay, so this Q is actually our multiplier, if you like, or the rate at which the mass of the algae increases every week. Okay, so Q is the rate at which the mass of algae increases per week, or the multiplier, which is 7.2%. Okay, and then that is it for the B part. The next part says find, according to the model, the mass of algae in the pond, okay, when t equals 8. Give me your answer to the nearest 0.5. So we just go to our formula, and where we see t, we're gonna put 8 there and just use our calculator. Okay, so that is C. So I'm just making sure we're getting the right labelings done. So our C, we know A equals 1.072 to the power t times, okay, 3.162. So when t equals 8, A will be 1.072 to the power 8 times 3.162. So we're gonna just use our calculator to do the working for us. So 1.072 to the power of 8, and then we're multiplying that by 3.162, and that will give us 5.514677863. But then the question says to make sure our answer is rounded to the nearest 0.5 kg. Okay, so we go back to our question, and that should be just 5.5. So A will be 5.5 kg, and that is the C part of the question. So that's CI. Then the question says to work out the number of weeks. Okay, the number of weeks is referring to the letter T. So we're gonna work out what T is. It takes the mass of algae in the pond to reach 4 kilograms. Okay, so what we could do is we could either use this formula here, log A equals 0.03t plus 0.5, or just use our working out. I'll strongly advise that you use what the question has already given. In that case, in case our working was wrong, then you've got a chance of scoring this mark also. Okay, so we're gonna go back there. So this is I. So now we're going to our II. Okay, so we know log of A to base 10 is equal to 0.03t at 0.5. So here we've been told from the question to work out T when our A, our algae, is 4 kilograms. Okay, so we're gonna put 4 there where A is and work out what T is. So we have our log 4 base 10 equals 0.03t at 0.5. We'll minus 0.5 from both sides, so that means log 4 base 10 minus 0.5 equals 0.03t. We want to solve for t, so we'll divide both sides by 0.03. So t will be log 4 base 10 minus 0.5 all over 0.03. And you just use your calculator. Just be smart about how you use your calculator. Okay, so we're gonna work it out, and then if we divide by 0.03, our answer here for the t will be 3.40199 whatever, which means that our answer is 3.4 weeks. Again, we'll check to see what the question wants us to leave. Our answer is the number of weeks, so 3.4 weeks is the answer for this, and we can leave it like that. Okay, and the last part of the question, there's a reason why they give us lots of spaces. So state one reason why this may not be a realistic model in the long term. Okay, so this is one of the equations we call exponential. Exponential equations are equations where we believe that everything is going to increase suddenly or is going to reduce suddenly. Okay, so because our t is positive, this is going to continuously increase. Now, it is unrealistic to think that the mass of algae in a small pond will increase unlimitedly. Okay, so infinitely. It won't happen. So that means that the model is saying that the mass of algae will be increasing indefinitely, which is impossible. Okay, so that is the D part. So the model predicts that the mass of algae increases indefinitely, which is not possible. Okay, and that is all. That answers the whole question. So hopefully you got everything right in this question. All right, now because of our time, we have one more chance to do one more question before our third part comes. Okay, question 6, one of my favorite topics here. Of course, students love this as well. So binomial expansion, you're having the formula sheet, so no need to really worry about panicking. Just use the formula sheets. Okay, so we're just gonna look at writing our combinations. The interest, like they will always do, is to find the first 4 terms. So that's what we want, and in ascending powers of x. So all we need to do is to write out our values that we'll be using. So we've got our 8 combination 0, and then we've got our 8 combination 1, 8 combination 2, 8 combination 3. These are 4. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's all the question is interested in. The next bit we're going to look at is the bit that will be multiplying. So 3 starts off taking all the power times our second part, which is minus 2x over 9, takes nothing, and then 3 reduces to 7, and then our minus 2x over 9 begins to increase. Then 3 goes to 6, and our minus 2x over 9 begins to increase to 2, and then 3 goes to 5, and then our minus 2x out of 9 goes cubed. So these are the first 4 terms. The next bit now is to use your calculator to work them out. Okay, so 8 combination 0, which you should know that is 1, multiplied by 3 to the power 8, which is 6561. And then we know any number to the power 0 is 1. So this first part will give us 6561. All right. And then we check the next bit. Now we are usually going to be doing addition, but because there's minus to the power 1, we know we're gonna have minus here. So we've got 8 combination 1, which is 8, times that by 3 to the power 7, which is 17496. We're gonna multiply that by 2 and divide by 9, which gives us 3888x. Okay, so we've done that part, so we're checking as we go. The next bit is 8 combination 2. So 8 combination 2, which is 28, we times that by 3 to the power of 6, which gives us 20412, and we're going to times that by a positive number because we square it. So we're going to put plus there, and then we have times by 4, then divide by 81 because 9 squared is 81, and that gives us 1008x squared. Now we are left with the last one, which is 8 combination 3. So again, the odd power here means that we've got minus coming in. Okay, so we've got 8 combination 3, which is 56, times that by 3 to the power of 5, which gives us 13608. So we are going to times that by 8 because that's 2 cubed, and then we'll divide by 729, which is 9 cubed. Okay, so 729, and that gives us minus 448 over 3x cubed, and this will be the first 4 terms of this sequence. Okay, hopefully you got it right. The second part is usually there to confuse us a little bit, so let's look at what it says. Okay, I'll make it bigger, and it says find the coefficient of x squared in the series of this. So for us to find the coefficient of x squared, let's try and sort this first bracket out. Okay, so I'm gonna try and sort it out. X minus 1 over 2x. So we've got f of x being x minus 1 over 2x, and the whole of this is being multiplied by our question, 3 minus 2x over 9 to the power 8. Okay, so we can see here that this bracket is the same as having 1/2 minus 1 over 2x when we divide both of them by 2x, and this is going to be multiplied by the answer we got. So we got 6561 minus 388. So I'm going to write them down. 6561 minus 3888x, and then we've got plus 1008x squared. So add 1008x squared. So I'll try and write it somewhere else so that it is visible. Okay, so bear with me. So we got add 1008x squared, and then we've got minus 488. So minus 488 over 3x cubed. Okay, so for us to make sure we work out, the question says the coefficient of x squared, we need to look at where x squared will come should we end up expanding. If we end up multiplying a half by that, we'll have no x. It doesn't help us, we don't need it. If we multiply 1/2 by minus 388x, again we won't get x squared, so we don't need it. But when we do a half times that bit, which is the 1008, we will end up having x squared attached to it. So that's the part we need. So we need a half times 1008 x squared. That's what we need. We need the x squared there. We can look at the x squared later, so I'll just circle it. And then we also know a half times this last bit here will give us x cubed, which we are not interested in. Similarly, we're going to be multiplying minus 1 over 2x by 6561. We won't have x squared. When we multiply by that, we won't have x squared. When we multiply by that, we won't have x squared. We only get the x squared when we multiply by the last bit. So it means we need the minus a half with the 2x at the bottom, multiplying minus 488 over 3x cubed. This is where we will get our x squares. Okay, then we add them. So let's use our calculator to work this out. So 1008 divided by 2, and the first part we'll need is 504. The next part is negative, and negative is positive. So we've got our 488 divided by 3, which we then divide by 2, and that gives us our 2 544 over 3. And so if we add that to 504, we should end up with 1756 over 3. And that will be the coefficient of x squared that the question is interested in. So that is our B part of this question. I hope this blessed you and you've enjoyed it and you got the answers right. So make sure to continue to like, share, subscribe, and make excellent comment on Ninson's Math Solutions. Thank you for watching.